Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Mike Mannino from Michigan. Mike is a property investor and best-selling author. Mike, please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
Peter, thanks for having me on, my man. Yes, so I am from Michigan and blessed to have moved down to South Carolina 2 years ago because I like being in t-shirts and shorts, the way God intended. So a little background about me. I have bought, fixed, and flipped over 90 houses at this point, all up in Michigan. While even living in South Carolina, I have not seen a single house in over 2 years, only photos. And that's because I have really good systems and team in place. And right now, we currently own over 109 apartment units that pay us every single month.
Is that leveraged or do you own everything outright?
No, there's bank debt attached to each one.
Okay. How did you choose between bank debt and other lenders that are available? What was your, how do you get in that? Because I understand that the property finance is quite complex. So would you explain a bit for our listeners, how does that work? And why did you decide on a bank debt and not other lenders?
Yeah, so good question. Actually, so we have multiple different, so some I bought with seller financing. I actually have a 17 unit that we're going to be listing next week, and it saddens me because we bought this at 0% interest for 4 years, and we've owned it for 2 years because we bought a very distressed property. We've been fixing it up, and now we're going to sell it. So I've bought properties with seller financing, even as low as 0%. We've got bank financing, which is local banks for smaller properties, and then there's agency debt, which is like Fannie Freddie debt. That's the lowest amount of debt the cheapest debt you can get. And the loan amounts have to be $1 million or more, and we have that on our stabilized properties. Those are for longer term properties. So we typically get into shorter term debts to buy these properties, renovate them, and then get into long-term debt, and then just hold the property forever for the long-term appreciation and cash flow.
Okay. When you said that you can be in South Carolina and just check the pictures of the houses, and you said that you have a system in place. Can you disclose a bit more about your system? How does that work, not being present on the ground and just do property long distance? Let's call it like this.
Yeah, good question. So, it's really the biggest thing is like, so we have our systems that we use and our applications. Like I have enough experience at this point, Peter, that I can look at 100 photos of a 1,200 square foot house and tell you the renovation cost, what it's going to be, right? And then I've even created a 350 line Excel spreadsheet that details every single material that we do. So like cabinetry, I know it costs me $250 per cabinet, and then I pay $50 for the labor. So for every cabinet that's installed, it costs me $300. So in the kitchen, where there's, let's say, 10 cabinets, because I'm bad at math, that is going to cost me $3,000. So I have, before we even start a project, I know what's going to cost me about to 95% accuracy because I have that system, right? And then I have a really good team that allows me to travel around the world. We go to Aruba and Florida on cruises because we have the system that we put in place, and then we have the team that operates it, and they're incentivized to us to be successful because everyone is compensated if we do well, everyone in the company. So then it takes off a lot of the babysitting. Even the contractors are compensated if we do well. So then it removes a lot of the babysitting on my end because everyone wants the company to do well, if that makes sense.
Yes. I would also like to know if it's possible to disclose, do you work with same let's say subcontractors or contractors all the time, or do you change your teams?
Very good question. So we are very blessed. I have the same 3 crews who do 95% of our work, and I've been using them since really 2017 when I started this business, like full time. started in 2015, but full-time in 2017. And they don't leave. And even though they could go make more money, maybe doing custom kitchens and bathrooms, they actually prefer to stay with us because we use the same materials, the same cabinets, floors, doors, trim, agreeable gray paint, like the same that's behind me right there. So it's predictable. So we never have to talk about what materials to get. We just give them an address. 4 to 6 weeks later, we show up, the house is done. It's like voila. And they enjoy that because there's no change orders. We're not picky like on the materials, and there's no waiting around for custom cabinetries. We always get what products that are in stock. So they really appreciate that, and it helps us save a lot of time and money as well. So we use the same subcontractors, and then even like our roofers and granite and hardwood floor guy, like those guys that we use every once in a while, same ones pretty much as well.
Okay, you describe systematization and also that you use the same materials regardless of the house that you're renovating, and that
Yes.
helps you simplify things and makes everything more efficient. Um, how did you get to choose what is going on? And I would also like to know, are you also trying to pick properties that have similar floor plan so that you can also apply your system to similar floor plan, or is that or are your parts that you are putting in agnostic to the floor plans?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter the floor plan. So we stick in the first time home buyer homes. We don't do luxury. So we do about 2,000 square foot and smaller. So these are the entry level homes in Metro Detroit. So when we go to sell them, they're around the $250,000 range. And the nice thing is with these types of home buyers, they're not picky. They're leaving an apartment that was built in 1980, never touched, and they got like gross cabinets and gross carpet and dingy. And then they come to one of our places that is brand new, and they're not picky on the materials. Like it might not be the exact same cabinets or the paint that they would choose, but they're not picky about it. So it doesn't really matter the house layout. All of them will look the same. If you go through my 90 houses, if you follow me on Facebook, you could scroll through. We have them all, and you'll just be like, you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's the same cabinets, it's the same countertops, the same backsplash, same flooring, the same doors, same trim, same everything, and that allows us again to be predictable. I started working at McDonald's at 16 years old. And I realized if you order a Big Mac in Michigan, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, it's going to taste the same, right? And it's the same products. And that's what we do to our flips. It's the same products that we use, and that allows us to have predictability and scalability along with that.
That's really nice. What I would like to know is how resilient is your business and how future-proof is your business? Because we know that situation is going, let's say, sideways, at least if not down. And you already mentioned that you are in first buyer's home, and that is also some kind of a hedge against inflation, because probably the villas and similar properties will be the first one to get a price hit if things start going south. So what's
So
your—
I'll answer your question.
Yeah,
So that Peter, you nail on the head, and that's why I choose first-time home buyer homes, because rents are going up, everything is going up. Our houses are very resilient to recessions because we have multiple buyers looking for our properties. We have first-time home buyers who are majority of our buyers. We have people who are downsizing from these big homes. We have landlords who are buying them turnkey ready. And I even had friends who bought them for their parents as well, right? So there's multiple buyers for this one type of property, and you can't make them anymore. Did you know that? It's hard to make a 1,200 square foot house and sell it for $250,000 after buying the land and hiring the builder and getting everything. So the replacement costs are higher than what we sell these properties for. So in 2020, I had about 12 houses we were flipping at the same time in March happened, COVID happened, the
Mhm.
world shut down. It was illegal to look at real estate for 45 days in the state of Michigan. Our governor said it was illegal. So our contractors couldn't be there. We had houses ready for sale, houses for sale. No one could look at them. And I was able to sleep at night because even with our debt attached to these properties and their higher interest debt than a bank, because we have private lenders and hard money lenders, I was able to sleep at night because I know that I could put a renter in there the next day and even break even or even cash flow, even with 10 or 12% interest rates that I'm paying on them. So that's how we hedge against recessions.
You mentioned 10 or 12% interest rates. Is that something that you would refinance for a long-term debt?
So that's our short-term debt is 10,
Yeah.
12%. And then once we refinance, I mean, shoot, right now they're probably at 9%, not much of a difference, 8% for these little houses. But yeah, long-term would be, probably 8% or something, 8.5% today.
So your strategy is uh, everything needs to be standardized, work with the same guys, and stick with the first-time buyers' houses. Is that also something you write about in your book?
Good question. So the first book, no, the first book was a lot about marketing, where I'm actually writing a second book that will be out maybe in the fall of this year. And that one's gonna be about multifamily. But the first one was about marketing and being and it was geared toward real estate agents, but it's about being like dominating your market. So if you follow me on social media, like on Facebook is my medium. I have 13,000 followers on Facebook. I get a lot of interactions just because I'm constantly sharing my journey. And by doing that, I get people who want to give me money. I had two phone calls yesterday of people who want to give me money. One of them said, I'll never forget these words. She was like, I almost screamed when you came on the Zoom call because I was so excited because I've been following you for 2 years and you're like a celebrity. And I'm like, it's so crazy because I sit in my living room all day and I just talk about buying houses and apartments, and then I'm no celebrity at all, but people view me as that. So that's why it's very important to document your journey. I've bought apartment buildings and houses that way of people like, oh, Mike is always buying apartments and Mike's always buying houses in Michigan. Hey, I found a deal. My grandma passed away. Can you help us out? And that's why that's what the first book was about. And that's why it's really important to always put yourself out there.
Okay, is that also why your business is still in Michigan, even if you're in South Carolina?
Yeah. So, it's kind of funny. I brought on a partner when I decided to move to allow me to like fully leave because I've only been back once or twice in 2 years, and I try not to go because it's always cold. And the business is just we're very blessed that it's very robust and it doesn't need a lot of my attention. I probably put about 4 to 5 hours a week on it at this point because I'm just answering some questions like, hey, what do you think about this rehab or something like that or listing price? And I'm looking at comps. It doesn't need a lot of my attention. So I'm very blessed that, I didn't have to shut the business down when I decided to leave because we put these systems in place. I actually got an offer and I just started talking about it the beginning of this year. I had a $982,000 offer for my business in 2022 when I was deciding to leave. And it was just because all the systems and processes we have in place that I actually had an offer for my fix and flip business, which is very rare to have a offer for your business because a lot of people think they can just go fix and flip houses, but because of the marketing channels that we had in place that bring us discounted houses, the contractors we had in place, our standardized pricing sheet that we have in place, I had a nearly $1 million offer and I was 28 years old at the time and I turned it down.
Mm-hmm. So you're into building businesses, not just renovating houses. Are
That's
you
a good point.
are you working on any other business at the moment, or are you planning to do that in the future? What's your diversification strategy?
Good question, Peter. So now I have my successful fix and flip business. And then in 2020, I started getting into multifamily apartments. We've been dominating that. We have over 109 units now in the last 4 years that we've been buying. And I have, again, putting people in place. We have VAs. I have a young 24-year-old who's underwriting our deals. We're getting some systems in place. And then in the last year, year and a half now, people have been asking me, Mike, how do you fix and flip houses? Can you teach me? So I started a education business called the Real Estate Wealth Builders. And like tonight, I'm doing a free training at 7 p.m. tonight on how to fix up houses. Like, so we always do free trainings, and I work with people one-on-one and how they can replicate my business. So those are the three businesses I have, and I'm not looking to add any more. Like right now, I feel like my plate's full enough, and but I'm very blessed to be where I'm at.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I'm a professional risk manager, and I see that you have your risks really figured out. And I really
Thank
like
you.
the system and how you built your resilient business. That is amazing.
It's
Um,
funny you say that you're a risk manager. So I always call myself, I'm the risk mitigator in my business. I'm always the one who says no. I'm always thinking what's the worst that can happen. And I always hedge against the risk. So that's funny that that's your business.
yeah. So tell me, what will happen with the property market in the future? How do you see it? Do you think it will stay the same? Will there be any real changes or drastic changes? How do you see it?
I view very long term. So it depends. Tomorrow, 6 months, 12 months from now, I have no idea. But I do know that in 1970, the average rent was $252 in the United States. And
Mhm.
today, that same unit rents for $18.50 a month. So in a long term, it goes up. And so that's really all I know. My crystal ball's been broken for a very long time. I thought we were gonna have a recession 2018, 2020 happened. I said this is it, and then real estate started booming. So I've been wrong for a very long time. All I know is I'm, hedging against my risks,
Mhm.
and that long term real estate does go up. If you hold a property long enough, it will go up in value. Um, so that's all I know. I know nothing, basically.
You said that you are really well prepared for the time ahead, and you have three different businesses. What would you recommend to our viewers that are just starting out or that would like to start a business? Because there's never a good moment to start a business. And you mentioned that even in the COVID time, you had a strategy and you did not worry. So how should they go about business right now?
Very good question. And I recommend everyone. So don't look at me and say, Mike is a good example. I should go start three businesses. You should definitely not do that. So I'm going to kind of recap on what my business looks like and how specific and narrowed it is. If you remember me saying I first started off a fix and flip business, I flipped 40 houses before I bought my first rental, Peter. I became the top three best fix and flippers in Michigan before I bought a single rental. I see a lot of people, it doesn't matter what business it is, but they want to go fix and flip houses and buy some rentals and buy some apartments and do some developments. And then none of it works out because you're too scatterbrained. Because you have to remember, you are competing against everyone else in the world, right? So you have to be the best. Your marketing has to be dialed in. You have to know your numbers. You have to be better than every single person who's competing against in the industry that you choose, right? So in my fix and flip business, like I said, even we've done 90 houses, I could probably venture off to luxury home flips, but I don't, right? Because that's not my market. I understand under, 2,000 square foot houses that sell for 250,000, the materials that they need, the type of contractors I need to hire. Because if I go choose to do luxury, I need different contractors, I need different materials, and I have to plan for longer hold periods. So you think it's the same, but it's actually two different animals, right? So whatever business you choose to do, get very specific and become the best. That is the only way to be successful. And don't try to do two or three businesses at the same time.
Yeah, but a lot of people are afraid that market is too small for them. That is why they venture in different things. And how would you, what would you say to them? Because a lot of people just they want endless growth, they want endless market and so on, but the markets are limited. So
Yeah,
what would you
good
recommend
question.
how to go about that?
So in our fix and flip business, I can only talk about, so I'm always just talking about my business because it's all I know. My fix and flip business, we do about 20 houses per year, and that's it. That's all we're really going to grow to. I have friends who flip 100 houses a year, but then their overhead goes up, their margins go down, and they're more stressed out. So yes, there might be a limit to it, but get to a point to where there is a limit. So, our business does over, $500,000 in profit. And then that allows me to hire people to then go do my job for me. And that's when I started looking at multifamily, because unless I started flipping in another state or in another area, that's really all that was limited to because of the amount of contractors we have, how much money we spend on marketing, just kind of limits us to 20 houses a year. That we only do really good houses that are profitable. So get to a point to where reach your limit. Get to a point to where you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can hire people to replace you. And then once you're spending 5 hours a week on the business, then you can start another business. And that's what I did. Went from single family to multifamily, multifamily to education.
The education part is something that also sparks interest. What I see is that flipping house would have a higher added value than multi-family units. But education has the highest added value. Was that something that you had in mind when you started it, or was that just a call or something you wanted to spread your knowledge?
Yeah. So honestly, in my education business, I probably don't make any money with how much money and time and energy I spend on it. My efforts are better off doing something else. But I had a mentor who changed my life when I first started flipping houses. And I am very appreciative of that because I was trying to flip my first house. I flew out to California. I met him. I hired him as a mentor. And then from there, I was able to retire my father. My father works with us. And then he was just our project manager. And he was a construction guy. So he was the guy doing the cabinets, the floors, the doors, the trim. And I got him as a project manager. And in 2019, I retired my father. So that meant so much to me because it's changed my life, my family's life, my employees' lives. I have employees who make $100,000 a year working for us. And I wanted to give back to an industry and a community that's given so much to me because I live a life that's free. We travel around the world 6 weeks a year. We can live anywhere we want. So honestly, it's not for the money. It's really to help other people and better their lives. I've talked about this last night. I've helped dozens of people make over $100,000 in real estate, and I've helped 3 people make $1 million in real estate. And to be in my 30s and to do that is very rewarding. It's cooler than, my house that's on the lake and my Maserati and all the, like, that's cool to have, nice to have, but I would sell all of that in a heartbeat to live a life of freedom and to give back as much as possible.
Thank you for all these amazing insights. Is there anything else you would like our listeners to get from this interview?
You asked a lot of good questions. And I would say to surround yourself with the people you want to be like, especially starting a business and being an entrepreneur. Gosh, was it? Most people aren't business owners and entrepreneurs. And it was very difficult for me growing up because I never met anyone who was rich and wealthy and owned a business. But to get and surround yourself around others who are at where you want to be. Because the moment my life changed is when I shook my mentor's hand and I talked to him for 15 minutes and I realized he's not that smart, which is a good thing because I'm like, oh my gosh, if he can do it, then I can do it. And I met him. I'm like, he's not an Elon Musk. He's not some genius. Like he's a normal human. And I finally got to meet someone who was wealthy and had a good relationship with their spouse and was living the life I wanted to live. And that changed my perspective on life. And it was helped me because you're going to have a lot of people who love you and they're going to tell you not to go after your dreams. Even my own parents told me not to do flip houses. And yet now they love me because I helped them retire. So you're gonna have the people the closest to you and doubt your dreams. But it's because they love you and they don't want to see you hurt and fail. So that's why it's really, really important to be around people who are at the levels you want to be, because then those people will believe in you more than you believe in yourself because they've done it.
Thank you for all these amazing insights. Where is the best place to reach you if our listeners would want to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So you can go to our website. It's Real Estate Wealth Builders. It's REW Builders, BUILDERS.com. Connect with me there if you want to book a one-on-one call, if you want to talk about mentoring. We have a bunch of free resources too. There's a free resources tab. I have how to flip houses and make $55,000, how I wholesaled an apartment building, which means I didn't own it. I found another buyer and I made $175,000. Our free Facebook group, the Real Estate Wealth Builders. We have over 1,400 members inside of our free Facebook group. I highly recommend getting plugged into there. Like I said, I'm doing free trainings all the time. And I post in there as a discipline. Every single day I'm documenting my journey, answering people's questions. And I will say if you do apply for that free Facebook group, make sure you answer all 3 questions or my assistant won't let you in. So we have 600 people pending who will not be able to get in because they don't answer all the questions because we keep out all the spammers. So that's the best way to get a hold of me is go to our website, rewbuilders.com.
I will include all the links in the description below. And thank you, Mike. Thank you for being my guest tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.